Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to Sweetwater's Guitars and Gear. This time out, we are joined by Dr. Epiphone, brand ambassador from Epiphone.
Hello there.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Also known as Will Jones.
Inside, yeah, that's my alter ego.
Right. So, how does a drummer become brand ambassador for a guitar company?
Well, I started out playing drums, and because it was easy to bang on, and they could lock me in the garage or the attic or something like that.
Right.
But eventually, it was inevitable that I got a guitar, and my first real guitar was a Les Paul, and I had a friend that had one, and it looked amazing and sounded amazing. So I was lucky to get started with the king of the solid bodies.
Right, nice.
That's somewhat spoiled. Although I didn't fully appreciate completely what I had and the science and stuff behind it, but I knew, especially from my friends, that thing it was an older one, and it was so dense that you played a note on it. In fact, that note is probably still playing.
Still sustaining?
Yes. In fact, it had other guitars orbiting around it. It was amazing. Amazing guitar. So anyway, but that's a pretty good way to start. I play a little banjo, which is fun.
Several instruments, right? Blindfold piano, I heard?
Blindfold, yeah, using the force. And sometimes I can almost play songs. It's kind of fun. I keep hoping someday that something will just magically happen, but it's getting closer. Oddly enough, a couple of months ago, I got volunteered to play bass with a group of pros in Nashville, No Pressure,
right?
Filling in for the fill-in for a guy that plays for Leonard Skinner, so No Pressure.
No.
And that was fun. So I checked out a Jack Cassidy bass for that, and oh my gosh, I love that bass.
Right.
It's so cool. Like, wow, I can't wait to get asked to fill in for the fill-in again one of these days.
Yeah. That's not your only woman in the spotlight, though. You've also done vocals for Twisted Sister.
Yes, I had to fill in for Dee on multiple occasions, and I had the pleasure of, I think I'm the only person that's ever sang with the entire band in the 30-something years or whatever. That's what JJ told me. Of course, that was no pressure either.
No, not at all.
No pressure. You meet those guys, they're big, scary guys. It's the only rock band I know that does their own security.
Right.
And I won't tell you what he told me when he sent me on stage, but I knew that I better not mess up. And it was a little scary, but they're actually big, lovable teddy bears and really awesome guys.
Sure.
And they're playing for these huge audiences now. I think they're bigger now than they were in the '80s, if that's possible. And of course, Dee's like this monster, and so it was really cool to get to know those guys. And that was some nifty opportunities and some cool places I've been afforded to see. Telling people about the value of Epiphone.
Right. Wonderful. Now, you have done a variety of other things as well. You had a radio show, correct?
Yes, I started out in radio and broadcasting, and did all the different things that entail with broadcasting and air personality and production and all that. And got out of that, and then got in some other stuff. I did some TV commercials here and there, and dabbled in that a little bit. And even a few years ago, it was almost about 6 or 8 years ago, I had an internet radio show with some radio group that was based in Nashville, and they moved to California, and I didn't go out there. But that was kind of a fun thing to kind of get to revisit the radio days. And I interviewed some people that are now big stars in country and some other genres that are based or going through Nashville. And I had one of these guys that actually he's won some awards, #1 hits and stuff, lived in my basement back then for a couple of years.
How about that?
Strange. Nashville's a weird, strange place. And so, you can't swing a guitar around without hitting somebody that's either an artist or a songwriter or in the biz some way or another. And even if you try to avoid it, it's something in the water there. Or something.
Right.
But it's an interesting place, and of course that's where Gibson World Headquarters is, and also the World Headquarters of Epiphone is in Nashville.
So that's where you're based out of?
Obviously,
being based on this.
Yes, when I'm traveling a lot, I tell people that I have a house there where I do laundry.
Right.
But sometimes I live there.
Right, and you do cover some ground. You just got back from Brazil?
Yes, I did. I just flew in from Brazil, and my arms are still tired.
I bet.
Just in Sao Paulo a week, but I've gone through several cities in Brazil before. I think that's my third trip. I've done Argentina, a few cities down there before, and looking forward to seeing some other parts of South America.
Sure, and you're off to the Far East?
Yeah, next week going back to Japan. It'll be my 26th trip to Japan.
Wow. That's some frequent flyer miles right there.
Yeah, there's a few. Doing Tokyo, Osaka, Nagoya, and maybe somewhere else from there. I can't remember the itinerary. going there for I think a big Battle of the Bands contest finale thing. There, we're doing one of our dealers there. That's kind of where the sort of the Dr. Epiphone thing sort of, kind of snowballed into something. But I love Japan. It's kind of my second home. Watashi wa Nihongo wo skoshi nashimasu. Toto wo skoshi. Which means I speak a little Japanese.
Okay. I'll have to trust you that that's what that means.
Well, see, I could have said anything you would know.
Right.
I could be like, Huttese or something. You would know. Klingon. Kablah. But lovely people, and it's a beautiful country. It's an amazing place, and they're a very passionate, hardworking people, and you just can't help but fall in love with Japan and the culture, and the food's awesome.
Sure.
Japanese food. Seeing all these places sounds fun, the whole James Bond traveling the world thing, but travel is not glamorous. It's hard on the body. It's not an easy thing. So you got to be passionate about what you do, and I do. I enjoy being. People say, "You like traveling for a while?" I like being in the different places, meeting the different people and stuff, and especially customer interaction. I love talking to consumers, and my latest passion, in case you asked, is teaching beginners how to play guitar. It started just at a trade show or two or whatever, and we actually did a little thing here last night where we got some beginners, and absolute beginners. And we had one person that had never touched ever a guitar, and we got them in just about 30 or 40 minutes changing chords in the key of G, G, C, and D.
Nice.
And playing along with something, and that's cool. Because the day someone gets their first guitar, or the first drum set, or the first piano, banjo, keyboard, whatever your passion is, it's one of the most important days of your life, and you remember it. And you have a lot of birthdays, but you don't remember every birthday because they run together. But that's one of the most important days of your life, and it's an amazing privilege to be there at that birthday of the birth of every musician, and you never know who it could be.
Sure.
Somebody living in your basement.
That's it, exactly.
Big time someday, and and become part of our culture and our lives. So that's a really cool privilege. And even if they don't become super big and famous, it's a privilege being part of the most important day of someone's life. And because music is a passionate, cool, fun thing, you don't have to have it, but it sure makes life a whole lot more enjoyable.
Right. So we were talking earlier about how the quality of the parts and the construction that you're using with the Epiphone guitars really allows you to provide the lifetime warranty and the level of service that the company provides. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's a fairly simple thing. If we didn't believe in the products and we didn't engineer the best stuff that we couldn't stand behind them like we do. It would be not a good idea.
Right.
And every year we strive to improve something in the guitar. Every year, some new major development. We'll change this, we'll change that. We always want to be better than any guitar in our price point, and we offer stuff that guitars that cost much more than our price point or whatever don't offer. It's part of the performance is our passion, our little tagline philosophy. That what we've been doing since the Epi-Statha-Polo days is making the best quality product that we can. And all that equals something that we can stand behind, and because we're part of Gibson. And if you buy one of our guitars, no matter what you spend, you get the same level of Gibson customer service as if you bought the most expensive Gibson product available.
Right.
And and then you guys, of course, have additional guarantees that you offer. So, it's really about the safest bet you could make in buying a fretted instrument. You're going to get something that's going to be playing great, last for years, professional quality, backed by the most prestigious brands and names in the world, and backed by you guys. So, what else could you possibly need?
Yeah, it's a great security, if you will.
Exactly.
When you're making that purchase. So, yeah, very cool. So tell me, how did Dr. Epiphone come about? Is that a college degree that you were awarded? Did you actually have to go through a doctoral program, or how did that happen? Well,
I sent 1995 to a P.O. box in Temecula, California a few years ago, and I got something back in the mail that says I'm now a doctor. So,
nice.
No, I just made that up. It was actually an interview last month on Epiphone.com that asked me about that, and so I actually had to spill the beans. I started out for Epiphone and had a long career back and forth here and there, and I I was in sales, and then because this Rain Man kind of a thing, I've got a little bit of a thing for trivia. I just love trivia, and I just absorb things and useless facts and information that you got exposed to earlier before we shot.
Right.
So they needed somebody to go out and do some product training and things, and so they made up a job as product specialist kind of a job, and so I started going out and doing this training, and our company president had come up with a little curriculum, a Dr. Epiphone curriculum, which kind of, talked about some of the timeline points, some of their history stuff. A lot of people didn't know. They were just some name brand Gibson made up to sell some of the guitars. We had a lot of rich history, part of the history of music and the development of the guitar. So I talked about that, and then talk about some of the features and benefits, which, every company has features and benefits they cover, but we had a lot of cool features and benefits, and I'll talk about that stuff. And there was also this little thing we used to do at this at the NAMM show, the big music trade show in Anaheim, where we'd dress up in these lab coats and sing some crazy song parodies and stuff. And I was part of that crew and helped to write some of the songs and some of the zaniness to get the point across about some of our features and benefits with some parody songs. And I kept my lab coat. And so when I started going out in the field doing this thing, okay, it's early in the morning, like it was earlier today. Okay,
right.
It's a music store. A lot of people play music. Hopefully, work in music stores, so you get people that know something about music. All right, like a lot of the guys here, they know their stuff, right?
Sure.
But it's early in the morning. They might have been up late, so it's not exactly easy to keep people's attention. So I put on the lab coat. It kind of gets people's attention. Ha ha ha! Here's some donuts and some sugar, and it's all get sugared and caffeined up together. And so I'd go through this stuff and throw in a few jokes here and there, and kind of try to keep people's attention, because no matter how fascinating things are to anybody, after a while, it's like, especially early in the morning.
Right.
And so it worked, and people got a kick out of it and stuff. And so I got this little, unofficial nickname, Dr. Epiphone. And over the years, people would come to Nashville, and I'd do some training and clinic and thing there at Epiphone, and then go out into the States and stuff. And then we had a group of international visitors, and had several through, but one from Japan, and they got a kick out of it. And they said, well, you ought to come to our trade show this next month. And I said, okay, well, cool. And I passed the test of eating some crazy sushi that night at dinner. Sea urchin.
Oh,
uni, yeah. The uni boy.
Uni,
they call
right,
uni boy
sure.
because the hair. And so I went to Tokyo and did some interviews and stuff, and people just took it really way more seriously than I thought they would. And they thought, hey, Dr. Epiphone is a cool thing, and so it just kind of caught on, and so next thing you know, I'm doing a photo session with Les Paul to do this campaign in Japan about the Les Paul and about real Les Pauls and stuff, and the virtues of making sure you get a real Les Paul and not something that kind of looks like it pretends to be. It doesn't have all the science, tone, and sustain, and the endorsement of the dude that invented it.
Right.
And that was successful, and so I kept going back, and then started going to some other places, to China and Australia, and then all over Europe, and then the last few years South America, and in Russia and other parts of Asia and Pac Rim, and I've been very blessed to see a lot of places in the world that I never ever thought I would see. Most of the time, there are music stores and hotels and airports and stuff. It's not vacation. I'm there to talk to people about Epiphone, but going to and from the airport, you see some pretty cool things.
Yeah.
But it's I'm just kind of being myself and telling people about Epiphone, and we've got such exciting stuff to talk about, and everybody there is exactly as passionate as I am. They just won't, I guess, humiliate themselves to the level that I will with the lab coat and the whole hair thing. But everyone there at Epiphone, I mean, everybody there works really hard and is extremely dedicated, extremely proud of our brand. Back in the day, we were somewhat of a little known brand some people couldn't pronounce, and sometimes they're like, well, they're just a imitation Gibson, or they're a this or that, they're just a little whatever, and now we're in the top 3. Wow, and that's top 3 separate from Gibson, because Gibson's part of that top 3.
Sure.
And that's in just the last 21 years since we became a separate division of Gibson in '92. and we're making the best stuff we've ever made. I have the fortunate luck of having easy stuff to talk about. When you've got the best, it's easy to brag, you know.
Sure.
And I don't like to brag, but you know, I like to say if it's true, it ain't bragging. And it's my job just to go out and spread that good news and tell people what we've got going on at Epiphone if they haven't already figured it out for themselves. But
Right.
Epiphone has gained the momentum, and the secret is out with a lot of folks of how well it plays and the reliability and the pros. You see people in TV play. Another cool thing about Epiphone, you know, with all the new pickups and all these parts and things I was talking about earlier. When you see an Epiphone on television, in a video or in a concert, some star playing it, chances are it's stock. It's the same guitar that you could buy in your retail store or call you guys up here at Sweetwater and order. It's the same guitar because that's really what everybody wants. If they see their idol or someone they like, and someone inspires them on television or whatever, or on stage, playing an Epiphone whatever, and they, man, I'd like to get one of those. Well, they can go buy that exact same guitar.
Sure.
Call you and get that exact same thing they just saw on TV, and it's going to sound the same. It's going to play the same. A pro quality instrument that they can play for the rest of their lives or make money, make millions with playing.
Sure.
Like earlier, that guy who lived in my basement, he's still playing the guitar that he got when he was 19, Epiphone Cutaway Electric.
How about
Still
that?
plays it. He can play anything he wants. They have all kinds of stuff offered to him. But that's just the loyalty that we instill sometimes in our players and our customers. And like McCartney, he still plays his '64 Casino and his Texan.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
This guy is probably the most important guy living in music, and his favorite guitars, even though it's the bass player, are still his Epiphones.
Right.
And so that tells you it's not just me. There are some passionate Epiphone fans out there. And lately, in the last few years, I've run into people that they're so passionate and they're like, it's like what I would expect to like at a Gibson custom shop event or something, where the people talking about the little this and that, whatever. And there's the people out there that are so obsessed with Epiphone and what we're doing now and what we did then and the whole thing. It's really cool. I mean, it's like having friends anywhere you go. There's always something to talk about with them. So
Right.
That's exciting. I think
Yeah.
that's something we get excited about.
Sure.
And you know, music is fun, and if you've got the right tools, you can have a lot of fun. Right?
And what's better than that?
I can't think of anything better than fun.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So obviously, speaking of that passion, you did also a workshop on Epiphone guitars. You were talking to the sales engineers this morning. What is it that excites you so much about Epiphone?
Well, you know, we've been around since 1873. It's our 140th anniversary this year. And you know, we started in Greece, we moved to the U.S. in '04, and in the early days of the development of the guitar, in New York days, the Epi Stathopoulos days, Epi of Epiphone, the founder's son, our namesake. People say, well, those were the heady days, the glory days of Epiphone, the golden days. And they said, well, no, you know, after he died, and you know, Les Paul invents the log, the solid body electric guitar, the Epiphone factory in 1941 out of Epiphone parts, by the way. After that, when we merged with Gibson, per Les Paul's suggestion, those were the best days of Epiphone. When they made in Kalamazoo and the Beatles all playing the casino and stuff like that, and Keith Richards and Jimi Hendrix playing at Wilshire. Those were the best days of Epiphone. That today is actually the best days. These are the best days of Epiphone. We are making the best quality, highest quality consistency product we've ever made, ever in our history. Plus, it's also comparatively more affordable than it's ever been, which has taken years of absolute dedication from everyone in Epiphone to put out the best quality product that money can buy.
Right.
Whether you start in the entry-level price stuff, you still get a lot of the pro features that you get through the entire line. They go up through the entire line. And like some of the new stuff I'm really excited about, like our Pro Series pickups, like the G400 now has our Alnico Classic Pro pickup, which is the exact same pickup as a Gibson 57 Classic. I mean, everything exactly the same. The nickel silver base and the cover. You still get the wire from the same place in Germany. I mean, it's the same pickup. It sounds the same. You can't tell the difference. Plus, it has coil tapping, which you series parallel switch, you can get single coil humbucker sound. And then the Les Paul Standard Plus is now the Les Paul Standard Plus Pro, like the custom, and it has our new Pro Bucker, which is like the original PAF humbucker, which Gibson later reissues as the Burstbucker to recapture that slightly imperfection created in the old PAF winding days, where they were just slightly out of phase and had that little something that was that magical burst Les Paul sound that made the Les Paul and the SG famous. That on the record, part of music in pop world history, it's in our heads. That's the sound that you want, and these priceless pickups are available in our Les Paul Standard Plus Pro, which is ridiculously affordable.
Right
Here at Sweetwater.
Right. Very
That's
cool.
something I'm excited about.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for coming in.
Well, my pleasure. Thanks for having us.
We appreciate you being here. It's been fun.
Well, it's supposed to be fun.
It is.
Music is about fun, and this place is so gorgeous, and you guys
thank you.
are so pro at everything you do. And I think, by the way, I think it's just such a cool thing that you have folks that someone can build a relationship with here and talk to here at Sweetwater and get involved in what they're doing music-wise and stuff. And that's a cool thing that you guys offer here. So it's a nice passion that you guys bring to the table in this industry, and I want you to know I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's definitely how we feel about it. So
right on.
Thank you for picking up on that. We appreciate it.
Cool.
And thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you. I'm Mitch Gallagher. Thanks for joining me for Sweetwater's Guitars and Gear.